Hey, this is WhyBeAre with BeamNG.drive, and today we're going to be taking a look at a mod called the Bitron B2, and we're going to be starting off with the 1.5 DXi version because that's the only version available to us, but there are some parts we can swap out later on for a little bit more variety. Now, a quick look at the exterior of this vehicle. Some of you out there might be thinking, hey, that looks very similar to a Citroen C2, because it is very similar to one. Heck, if you look at the name on the back and you change the B's to C's, the name would even sound very similar, but the name is slightly different just to avoid the possibility of lawsuits and all that. And you can tell this is kind of a lower end version of the car because it has those really cheap black plastic bumpers on it. You never see those on the higher end cars, but it actually moves pretty fast. I mean, we're going through a kind of bumpy road. We're up to 60 miles per hour. That's crashing speed right there. So let's see if we can do anything interesting with this thing. Got a nice roll going. Unfortunately, we're going towards the water, so the car has now drowned, unfortunately. So let's just go ahead and try to yank it out the water a little bit so we can take a look at the damage without the water making it hard to see. So there's not too much going on with the rear of the vehicle, so how about the front? Pretty beat up, but the amount of damage seems reasonable enough for that impact. Now we can go ahead and take a look at the interior of the car, and the first thing you notice is just how huge that digital gauge is. Like, I could be legally blind, don't have a license because of it, I'm driving up on the sidewalk and gonna crash into a stop sign. But I'll at least know how fast I hit that stop sign thanks to how big that gauge is. And then on the middle of the car, we actually have a clock that is synced up to my computer. So it is actually 4:09 a.m. on April 6th as I record this video. So let's see if we can wreck this thing from the inside because I don't do these too often. Get it popping in the air and right into the trees. So got a little bit of deformation on the interior, but overall nothing too crazy looking. We can go ahead and pop on the outside real quickly and take a look at the damage because I know you guys are dying to see that. So overall, looking at this, everything seems to have deformed pretty well. Now back into the interior real quickly. Something that's pretty cool is right there you'll notice it says cooling system fault. Because obviously the radiator is blown or something because we're spewing out smoke from the coolant. And I thought it was pretty neat that that feature was in the car. As for some of the other details in the interior, we have a functional steering wheel, as you've already seen. We also have functional pedals down there, which are always a little bit hard to see. We have a functional handbrake right here that goes up and down as you would expect it to. And there's a light on the dash that lights up when it's on. When you put your headlights on, not much changes because most of the stuff in here is already lit up, but you do get a light that tells you they're on. And then you get another light that tells you your high beams are on when you put those on. And then, as you'd expect, the lights on the rear do light up as well, so you won't get rear-ended in really thick fog or if it's nighttime and you have your lights on so people can actually see you. So now let's go ahead and wreck this thing once again, but this time it's going to be slightly different because my headlights are on. Well, actually, not only are my headlights on, my high beams are on too for extra brightness, which is totally necessary here. It's not. So we should be able to go about 60 to 70 miles per hour on this crash, and we're going to just try to basically fling it into something. Ooh, bouncing all over the place. I did not expect this. It actually looks pretty cool in just a little bit of slow-mo. And there is a nice crash. It even flipped my car over. Wheel axle's broken, so it's not going to be able to drive anymore. Yep, not driving at all. And overall damage was a lot less than I expected. I think when I was bouncing around, I lost more speed than I was planning to. But it was a real cool crash watching the car bounce around before impact. So I think we could do one more crash here, and then we can move on to a different map. This time we got to crash in the other direction, though, so I'm going to squeeze in between those rocks. I wasn't sure if that was going to fit. I thought I might just get stuck right there. That would have been embarrassing. I actually did damage the car's suspension a little bit, though, because it's pulling to the right, annoyingly. But we can still accelerate good enough. Like, we're already up to 60 miles per hour and still going, And whoops, we're in the air a little bit, and now we're rolling. I should be able to keep driving after this, though. I didn't see any damage that looked like it would be super deadly to the car. So right after the roll and continue along without much issue. I think it's pulling a little bit harder to the right, and you notice the wheel was skidding right there, but able to get up to speed once again. And this time, let's just crash into that tree right there. Nice impact, good camera angle even for once. Usually that doesn't happen. I'm going to speed it up, and that's not going to go anywhere. We got a little bit of fire even. And just looking at the damage overall, it seems pretty reasonable, and I noticed nothing about it that looks super glitchy or anything like that. So let's go ahead and change maps and move over to Utah, USA. And I started on the highway so we could get a real high-speed impact here. So we're going to get, once again, the base model version of the vehicle, but we're going to pull up the parts menu and do some changes to this. So this kind of has the engine and suspension options that you get in a B2 Corvette because the mod is based on that. So if we want to, we could go to the engine. We could give it a 1.5 liter dual overhead cam engine, which is a little bit faster. But more importantly, we can change the intake to a stage 3 variable boost turbocharger. Now, this thing is pretty fast. So if we drive on the highway, I'm pretty sure we could get this thing up to 100 miles per hour if the gearbox is okay with that. I'm not sure how this thing is really geared for when you get that high of a speed. Looks like it's going to work out fine, because we're already up to 90 without much slowing us down. Over 100, still pulling hard. All right, this is going to be a good crash. I'm debating if I want to do just a slam it into something impact or a fly and roll. And when we're going this fast, we can get some fun things happening with the roll. So let's try to do a little bit of both. We'll just kind of pop it up into here and see what happens. We're flying just a bit and then bam! Oh, that was brutal. And we still got a little bit of momentum, so we'll keep going. Oh! What? It looked like those pieces literally exploded off. And with the fuel tank rupturing right there, almost seems like it was on purpose, right? The fuel tank explodes, so the parts fly away, and aww. Alright, well, the vehicle has glitched out the game. You see a couple of parts are all messed up right there. I reset it one time, then we got a fresh one, and let's do that one more time. That was pretty cool to watch. Like, I like the high-speed roll crashes like that because so much happens. It's not like when you hit a wall, it's like, oh, it's over. You never know what's going to happen. You're going to roll, and then you're going to crash, and then you're going to get on fire after the crash, and then you're going to glitch the game out. Like, it just keeps going. I will try a different angle completely, though. So instead of hitting the center divider from the middle, we're going to hit it right there, apparently, which wasn't on purpose, but we got a roll going here. Somebody count those for me, because I can't count that high. I'll try to get it upright so we can see how damaged up the roof is. I can just yank it and flip it. There we go. Actually, that looks pretty cool with the roof damage. It looks a lot more sporty on this side compared to this side where it kind of looks vanish. This one looks hot hatch-ish. Is that a word? Hot hatch-ish. That sounds weird to say. Now in the parts menu, we have the option to add both the rally and race coilovers to this thing. But I would not suggest doing that because it seems like after about 30 seconds or so, usually the wheel axles will break for no apparent reason. Where if you stick with the stock suspension, it works perfectly fine and it only breaks when you would expect it to. So that actually takes an impact. Like if I was using the rally one or the race one right here, just kind of going around a corner aggressively like that might break it. So we're going to try to do some rallying with the stock suspension, which I think it should be able to do because the suspension is based on the Corvette, and the Corvette has no problem going through here, so why would this? With its itty-bitty bicycle tires. And those tires just, they do not look wide enough for how much power this car has, especially considering it's front-wheel drive, but it's working. Barely. Ooh, that really slowed us down. We dropped to like 20 miles per hour right there. But just doing like dirt road driving like this is actually working fine. I got no problems, except it's a little top heavy apparently. You just hit a little bit of a bump and before you know it, you're rolling. Alright, how damaged are you? Can you keep going? It looks like I should be able to. Just get it onto the road. How straight does it drive? You can tell it's leaning to the right, but it's actually driving a lot straighter than I would expect for that much lean. So let's go. Keep on going with this thing until it gives me a reason to stop. Oh, it's overheating. That's a reason. One thing that's kind of cool, let's see if we can see it. On the inside, you have a little light that actually tells you when you're overheating. It's on the right side below the big old speedometer, although I'm not overheating right now because I'm not pushing it. There it is. Right there. You see there's a little light just for a second that said like your oil or coolant is overheating. I can't quite tell what it is because I'm trying to race. You see it right there. There it is. Looks like it says oil is overheating. Makes sense to me. And I'm actually driving pretty good right here considering I'm mostly just looking at that icon. Like, I don't know why I'm still looking at it because I've already seen it, but yeah. That was impressive. Alright, so let's just go ahead and say goodbye to this car. We're going to try to pop it right into that rock. And we can go and take a quick look at the damage. And the engine just disappeared. Don't know where it went, but it's not there anymore. Rest of the damage seems pretty reasonable. So let's go ahead and reset this thing. You know, I'm actually kind of curious though. Does this car actually have an engine? Because I never checked. Let's see. No, it does not. It looks like it has like some headers or something, but no actual engine block. Okay then. Well, the engine didn't disappear. It's just not implemented in this version of the vehicle. Alright, so off we go, and we're gonna crash immediately because I like crashing into this thing right here. Alright, come on, do a nice one. Yes, perfect, upright. How drivable, how drivable. Not so well, but we can get it up to speed again, I think. Before it overheats and dies, which it's really trying to do. You see already Starting to overheat, but we're up to 80 miles per hour. Coolant is overheating. That's not going to stop me. That is not going to stop me. We're going to fly. Keep going before the engine starts to blow itself up. All right, 100 plus miles per hour. Let's go. Nice roll to it, and ooh, scraping the wall. And actually a lot less damage than I expected from that. I expected it to be really ruined, but it kind of just gracefully glided down. Well, as gracefully as it could. So now I'm going to go ahead and do some crash testing, and for the crash testing, we're going to move on to grid map. So the first crash test I want to do is I want to see how the B2 compares to a similar car that is a stock car in the game. And I think the most similar car there is the modern Ibishu Pessima. It's a little bit older technically than the B2, but it should be close enough to have a interesting crash between the two vehicles. So for the Pessima, we'll just drive that thing forward a bit, and then for the B2, we'll drive it backwards, and when we get back there, I'll also give it a little bit more speed because it's always more fun when you have a fast crash. So we'll go over here, we're going to go to engine, and I think we could just put a stage 3 variable boost turbocharger on this, and it'll be more than fast enough. And to actually line up the cars, the best way to do it is to rely on the AI because they got some pinpoint accuracy on a straightaway like this where it's actually really hard for me, but really easy for them if I position the cars correctly. So like position 1 right there, straight from the other one with nothing in the way, and this should be great. So we'll save this spot, then we'll save this spot with the other one, then we're going to pull up in the AI menu and set it all up. So you hit escape, go over here to the apps, hit the plus, grab AI menu, put it wherever you want. I'm going to just put it in the spot I always put it, and you're going to say chase and chase, and they should be going right at each other. And we can make sure that the B2 is moving, and it is, and it's moving. It's already up to 60 miles per hour. Pessima, well, it's actually also up to 60 miles per hour. And we're going to get lots of slow-mo on this. I want to see this in 100 times slow-mo because the combined speed of these two cars is almost 150 miles per hour. So this should be a pretty good impact. Although I did enable slow-mo a little too fast. There we go. Ooh. Crumple zone on the B2 is a lot smaller than the one on the Pessima. And then the roof on the B2 really got crunched up compared to the roof of the Pessima. So I would assume B2 a lot less safe than the Pessima. I mean, yeah, you look at the interior, this one's a mangled mess. This one, the interior is mostly intact still because crumple zones, man. And there's also no engine in the B2. I don't know if that affects the way it crashes necessarily, but it can't help it. So let's go ahead and try this against a slightly older car then. How about the older Pessima? Now this one, you'd expect it to be a little bit more equal because this Pessima should be less safe than the other Pessima. Also, the speed's going to be a little bit lower because of the way this is set up, but it should still be pretty close, being like the 120s combined speed. So, slow-mo engaged, a little bit different of an angle on this one. Good job, AI, you're giving me some variety. Alright, go ahead and speed that up. And that one looks a little bit more equal. I think actually the B2 still fared a little bit worse than the Pessima, but you can see this one, the interior is mangled up. And then on the B2, ooh, it's on fire a little bit, and interior is also mangled up. How's the actual damage to the vehicle itself? A little bit mangled up. The door looks pretty good. The way the roof deformed looks good, but boy, does it deform a lot from that impact. And now, we could do a B2 to B2 impact, so we'll just grab another B2. And we could change the color because I've always been using blue this whole time, and I'm getting bored of that, so how about we go green versus blue? And this time we'll do 4 times slow-mo, not much since you've seen it so many times already. That one gives you a lot more force because you can see it happening like that. And the damage looks pretty similar to what was experienced crashing into the Pessima. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and turn the AI off on one of these guys, and then the other one, we're going to let them crash into me. And all I got to do is just line it up. So I'm just going to slide it up, and hopefully they'll hit me right on my side. They're just a little bit away, but they are moving hard. Alright, we're gonna do, let's do 16 times slow-mo. And speed it up. And it looks like the side impact test is about equal to the front impact test where that thing got bashed in hard. I mean, the other B2 was going probably like 100 miles per hour by the time it hit. So now we can go ahead and move on to a rear impact crash test. That way we've crashed every part of the car that we can. Well, aside from the roof, we could still do the roof as well, but well, they're going to hit me perfectly. 8 times slow-mo is pretty good for that. Interesting, the rear of the car really absorbed the impact. You see just how little damage there is on the blue B2 in terms of the roof, where the green one, the roof really got smushed. But the green one can still drive, it looks like, very easily. I mean, this thing isn't driving straight by any means, but it's driving. And it's kind of funny watching the hatch just kind of bounce around what's left of it. Whoops, mud, 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 mud. That mud's evil. It just grabs you and I can't even move now. Get out of the mud. Up. Well, that's kind of cool. So that actually separates in multiple parts. It's not just one piece. That's neat. All right, you know what? Just to kind of show that off, let's go to the fun stuff. Well, let's turn the AI off. How did you get on your side? You crazy. Then we go to fun stuff though, and we just break everything off so you can see all the parts. So like right there, that's what I was talking about, how this is kind of a separate piece from this. Thought that was neat. Also, if you remove the license plate, it says Bitron under it in really big text. Figured that was worth mentioning. Get rid of the hood. The lights come off. Oops, that's not the light, is it? Kind of. Mostly came off. Looks like the grill is pretty firmly in place though. Yep, we're just destroying the car trying to detach this. So that's not going anywhere. Car's going somewhere though because I chucked it. Alright, now for the final crash test, which is going to be a roof crash test. We're going to do this super simply. We're going to grab another B2. We're going to stick it on top of this B2 from a height. And if everything goes according to plan, it'll go splat. That looks close enough. 16 times slow-mo. Real nice softening of the impact for the blue one. Like the blue one's like, oh, I'm fine. Green one, destroyed. Although I think the one that's on fire is actually mostly the blue one. Like if I drive away from the fire, am I still on fire? Oh, no, we're both on fire. So roof right there, it went down hard. But it still drives. How about the blue one? It's upside down, but I see no reason why it wouldn't drive. So let's go ahead and finish this up by going to Brutal Slope and a Leap of Death. We'll start off with Leap of Death. And for Leap of Death, we're going to go ahead and get this car in a different color. And I'll show you a couple of parts that you could change out if you wanted to that I didn't show you earlier on. So let's go ahead and pull up the parts menu. And we're going to go to body. And then we're going to go to front bumper. So on the front bumper right now, it's got the black and yellow mix that looks kind of weird. If you wanted to, you could just go ahead and say paint the whole thing yellow and it looks like that. And then if you wanted to, you could paint these little circles for the fog lights to make them the same color. Or you could completely remove them if you wanted to. I'm just going to make them match up like that. And then also you could actually put fog lights in there and use them if you wanted to. And we could paint the front grille as well. So we can make like this whole front really yellowed up. And we could do the same for the rear if we wanted to. We could get a rear bumper painted yellow too. But you know what? I think this is good enough. Let's go ahead and hop this thing off. So we're going to get it up to about 50 plus miles per hour. That's more than I expected. And we'll let it fly. Do this one in full speed. If it looks interesting enough, we'll do it in slow-mo as well. Well, kind of a neat spiral right there. And flat. Ha! You know, if I told you that was a school bus at one time, you might believe me because that is a yellow vehicle. That is really just school bus yellow. It straight up is. You know, it'd be kind of funny if a car manufacturer actually said, hey, this car is school bus yellow. You know, they would never call it that. They would call it like sun yellow or something. And it's stuck. And I don't really think that's worth seeing it again in slow-mo. So let's go ahead and move to Brutal Slope. So we're not going to do anything crazy here. We're just going to use the normal version of the car. No engine upgrades necessary because gravity will do most of the work. For this, we'll get it in Scarlet Red, which is that kind of weird red that I use pretty often. Although it looks a little redder on this car for some reason, doesn't it? Maybe it is a custom color and I didn't notice it. Anyways, away we go down the hill, already up to 90 miles per hour, 100 miles per hour, 110, 20. This thing is accelerating at a really good rate of speed, just as you would expect it to. Gonna hit the wall at about 200, I would think. And we're topping out the gearing, but it does not make a difference whether or not we clutch in or just hold the gas pedal all the way like I'm doing right now. So 205, 207, 208, and slow-mo now. So 210 mile per hour impact. There should be nothing left of this thing. All right, look at that. The doors are now longer than the car even after the doors have been crushed. Smushed up car and a little bit glitchy and on fire as well. So I think that'll do it for this video. Till next time, this is WhyBeAre. I'll see ya.